Hello and welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'm going to be talking about all the books I'm hoping to read in the month of March. So this is my March TBR video, and I'm going to offer up 18 books that I am pre-selecting of things that I want to read. And then I'm also going to do my alphabet challenge to pick 5 books randomly, starting with a random letter of the alphabet that are already on my Kindle. That adds up to 23 books, which is what I am hoping to read each month in the year 2023. So that's all the math. Let's get on to the books that I have on my list as potential reads for this upcoming month. So the first one I've added is the HBR Guide to Crafting Your Purpose. This is the Harvard Business Review kind of short guide on this topic. And I was able to check this out from my library. You'll hear that a lot of these books are library books. I'm still kind of working through my stash from my local library. And I love the idea of kind of crafting purpose, career design, alignment of values. And so this is one that I am excited to pick up. I also decided this month to do a bit of a binge on a series that I want to catch up on, and that is the Virgin River series by Robin Carr. I have read the first 14 books in this series, and I have about 5 left in order to wrap this up. So the first one is called Hidden Summit. The second one is called Redwood Bend. The third one that I need to read, which is actually 17 if you're counting, Sunrise Point. The next one after that is a Christmas themed book called My Kind of Christmas. And then the final book in the series is called Return to Virgin River. This is a series overall in which there's a connected group of characters and there's a different romance that's featured in each of the books, but they all take place in the same small town. And it's one that I haven't visited in a while, like this series. And so I thought it would be fun to kind of pick these up and hopefully binge through several of them. My library had all of them on audio, so I went ahead and checked those out so that I can prepare myself to read one right after the other. I also decided to add to my list a book called Would You Rather by Allison Ashley. And this is a book that I can't even remember how I stumbled across it. It might have been something that I just kind of saw available in my library ebook. This is another library book. And general idea is that you have 2 friends, Noah and Mia, and Noah is kind of in a good place in his life. He's up for promotion in a job that he's really enjoying. Mia is on hold because she's awaiting a kidney transplant, and she's stuck in a job that she doesn't enjoy, and she's kind of sworn off relationships. And basically she has a chance of a lifetime to go back to school, to pursue a dream. And she can't quit her job or she'll lose the medical insurance she so desperately needs. So Noah suggests that they get married. So this is kind of a fake marriage trope, and looked like it was kind of fun. So I decided to add that to my list. I also added a book that I've heard a lot about, and I don't know much about it. It's called Locust Lane by Stephen Amadon. I've never read this author before. It's been called compulsively readable, which is always a good sign for books that I want to pick up. And it sounds like this story is about, let's see. The description says, can anyone be trusted? On the surface, Emerson, Massachusetts, it's just like any other affluent New England suburb. But when a young woman is found dead in the nicest part of town, the powerful neighbors close ranks to keep their families safe. So the death kicks off an investigation into 3 teenagers who are partying with the girl who died, and they're each a suspect. So it sounds like it's a little bit of like a domestic drama. So looking forward to picking that one up as well. Also added to my list, The House in the Pines by Anna Reyes. This is a book that came across my radar because it's a Reese's Book Club pick for Reese Witherspoon's book club, and I know nothing about it. I just picked it up because of the popularity. It looks like a woman who long ago witnessed her friend's sudden mysterious death has since spent her life trying to forget, sets out to track down answers. What she uncovers deep in the woods is hardly to be believed. So it's about a couple of high school seniors. One of them drops dead in front of a man that they've been spending time with in the summer. 7 years later, the friend is kind of trying to figure out what has happened. I feel like this is like a very common trope right now of like something happening during your high school years, and then as an adult, you're like trying to figure out what was going on. But there's a reason it's popular, because I think people find it really interesting. All right, I'm also adding to my list a book called The X Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. Rachel Lynn Solomon is the author of The Weather Girl, which I really enjoyed. And so this is the primary reason I decided to pick this up. It is about two public radio co-hosts, and it is a romantic comedy. This was her debut, so I thought it would be fun to read. I have a bunch of romantic comedies on my list actually this month. I think it's partly because I just want something kind of light and fun to be reading. So the next one is also the same genre, Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. This is the same author that wrote a book I read, I think, a couple of months ago that was based in academia, and it was a romance. This is kind of the same. Somebody who is, I think, working in a lab and has like a co-lead for her research, and they have a romance. I also am picking up Elena Armas's The American Roommate Experiment. This is her second book after The Spanish Love Deception, which I really enjoyed. And this book came onto my radar again because she has a third book that is coming out soon that she recently released the cover for. And so this is a book where it's a kind of shared space trope. I think you have two people who are living together and they are starting to have feelings for each other and kind of develop a romance. I really enjoyed her first book, so looking forward to picking up that one. I also am adding to my list a book called Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. And I think that what I'm finding actually is a lot of these books are by authors that I've read something else of theirs that I like. And Tessa Bailey falls into that category. I've read other works by her that I enjoyed. So picking up this one as well. And I think it has kind of a DIY kind of theme, like somebody who works on like renovations and things like that, which is kind of an interesting setting for a romance. I also added to my list a book called Someday Maybe by Anya Nwabineli. I hope I'm getting that right. Probably not. This is a debut novel about a woman who is dealing with loss. And I've heard a lot about this book as well. Basically, you have a woman who is being surrounded by her community. I believe they're all Nigerian after the suicide of her partner. And so kind of working through the aftermath of that. And because I've just seen this around so much, I wanted to pick it up. I also added to my list Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. This is a book also that I've just kind of seen everywhere and wanted to check it out. I think this is basically about a woman who leaves her children a family recipe and then a voice recording. And then through the recording, they get kind of some more information that they need to follow up on to learn more about like her background and the history of their family and ancestry. So looking forward to that. Also picking up The Minders by John Marrs, because who doesn't love a John Marrs? And this is becoming one of my like must-read authors. I'm going through all of his backlist, and this is basically about 5 people who've been selected to become the latest weapon in thwarting cyber terrorism. A medical procedure has turned them into the ultimate secret keepers. The country's most secretive information has been taken offline and turned into genetic code implanted inside their heads. Together, the 5 know every secret, the truth behind every government lie, conspiracy theory, and cover-up. But someone has discovered who they are, and they're being hunted down. So picking up that one as well. I also added to my list a book called 9 Liars by Maureen Johnson. This is the book 5 in the Truly Devious series. I loved this series. I didn't know there was a 5th book until I recently stumbled across it, and so I absolutely immediately put it on my library hold list. This is about a teenage girl who solves crimes. She goes to a private school named Ellingham Academy, and in this particular book, she, I think, is going to join her boyfriend David studying in London, and then there's a crime that they solve there. I feel like this book is kind of like a little bit of like an updated Nancy Drew. There's always like puzzles involved, and I really, really have enjoyed this series. So I added that to my list. And let's see. I also added to my list a standalone book by David Baldacci called Last Man Standing. I haven't read many David Baldacci books, but I picked up one recently and decided to look at some of his other books. This is about an FBI hostage rescue team being ambushed in a dark alley, and the person who survives, he is kind of looking for the killer of all of his friends who were killed on this team. And so it's kind of it sounds like an FBI or espionage thriller. And I've been getting into those more and more lately. So those are the 18 books that are on my list for March. And now I'm going to go ahead and choose my random letter, which will allow me to go into my Kindle and sort by alphabet to see what 5 books I'm going to add this month. So first I'm going to draw my random letter. And I have drawn the letter C. So let me navigate to all of the C books in my Kindle and see what is on here as possibilities. I'm just taking a glance through here to see what might look kind of interesting. All right, so there are definitely some that I've already read in this category. And there's also a bunch of Christmas books, so I'm gonna go through and not look at those. All right, so the first one I'm gonna add to my list is one that I've actually been wanting to read for a long time. It's called Confessions of a Bookseller by Shawn Bythell. And this is one that I think takes place in a foreign country, if I'm remembering this correctly. Let's see. It's in Scotland, and it's somebody who is running a bookshop in Scotland and kind of telling stories about that bookshop. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that one. And let's see. I'm also gonna pick a book that has been kind of interesting to me for a while. It's called Confessions on the 745. And it's a thriller, and it's about a woman who is commuting home on a train and meets somebody on this train, and then the person like disappears. Somebody connected to this person disappears, and then she's kind of pulled into this mystery of what happened. The author is Lisa Unger, and I've been wanting to read that one for a while, so I'm also going to add that to my reading list for March. And let's see. What else do I want to read? Okay, so the next one I'm gonna pick is called A Curse So Dark and Lonely. This is a book that is by an author that I've really enjoyed in the past, but have not read anything she's done in this genre. So it's by Bridget Kemmerer, and it is the first in a series called the Cursebreaker series. And looks like it's a contemporary fantasy retelling of Beauty and the Beast. So I am here for that. I am gonna go ahead and add that to my list. Okay, so let me pick a couple of more here that I am interested in reading. I'm having to scan through a bunch of books that are different ones in different series, so they're not necessarily the first in a series. Okay, I'm gonna pick one just for fun. It is called Coached to Death, and it's part of the Life Coach Mysteries book series by Victoria Laurie. And I know nothing about this, but it's about a life coach who solves mysteries, I'm sure. And so I am like completely on board with that as a trained coach. I think this could be fun to read. So I'm gonna add that to my list. And then the last one, I'm gonna add here. I don't know much about this book, but I like the title of it. It's called The City Baker's Guide to Country Living by Louise Miller. And I'm gonna go ahead and add that as well. Sometimes I just pick a book based on the title and I don't even really know what it's about, but that one sounds good to me too. So those are the 5 C books that I'm gonna add to my list to read in March. And if you check back at the end of the month, you'll see what I was able to get through, and I'll definitely share my thoughts on some of my favorites. Until then, happy reading.